We welcome our viewing audience. It was important to us to record these public job interviews tonight with Justice of the Peace candidates because when people run for office, they are asking to be hired to do a job, and you get to hire them at the ballot box. So it is an entirely reasonable expectation that the people have an opportunity to see whether or not these candidates understand the job, and you need to have insights into the character and integrity of the candidates to see if they have a commitment to do the job. Okay? So we like to make sure that we have really good content and we know the questions to ask. We've been doing this a long time. We know what the job of a Justice of the Peace happens to be, and we know some of the ways historically in Smith County those jobs have either been fulfilled or not fulfilled, right? And so they will be tough questions. They will not be gotcha questions. The questions are not based on personalities. They're based on actual actions of the incumbents in office and then what the challengers might do differently, okay? So anyway, we thank you very much for viewing the videos. We believe that'll give you some good indication as to some of the criteria you might want to look at before you decide who you'll cast your vote for. Because remember, you're hiring these people at the ballot box to do a job. You're the boss, they aren't. Thank you.
While Joanne's taking her seat, one quick note. Most questions are going to be 1 minute. We'll specify at the time of the question. And when we get to the 30-second mark, you'll see the yellow flag. And at the red card, that's stop. Finish your sentence. Don't pick up a new tally, okay? So based on the drawing, the first question will go to Mr. Dunklin. Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun. Opening remarks by the draw. First goes to Mr. Scott.
Good evening. County government should operate at the convenience of the taxpayer, not the other way around. That means accountability, accessibility, and transparency. I'm an honorably retired violent crimes detective and proven successful executive leader. I've successfully led 2 law enforcement agencies within this county, serving as the interim constable of Smith County Precinct 2 and the chief of police for the Chapel Hill Independent School District. There are no question marks in the chapters of my life. I'm not motivated by money or title. I'm motivated out of duty. Duty means an office open during lunch. Duty means an office open on Friday afternoons. Duty is an office open according to the designated county holiday schedule. Duty means increased communications in the community and online. Duty means I'll never ask for a raise for myself, and I will always put the needs of my employees before myself. I'll show up every day supporting employees and working professionally. I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Dunklin.
Good evening. I'm Judge Andy Dunklin, and I want to thank the Grassroots organization for this opportunity to interview for my job, Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2. I was born and raised in East Texas. Linda and I have been married for 45 years. We've lived here over 30 years. We've raised 2 sons here, and we have 5 wonderful grandchildren. My Christian faith is very important to me, beginning over 40 years ago as a Sunday school teacher. In the past 15 years, ministering to senior adults living in retirement centers. I have served for 10 years as the constable in Precinct 2 and the past 8 years as their Justice of the Peace. I am a problem solver. I've received awards from the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Chief Detective of the New York City Police Department. Every day I enjoy the greatest office staff of any office in the county. I have a staff of 4 hardworking grandmothers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunklin. Okay, Tom, you want me to? do these first ones? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do, I think Mr. Dunklin takes these first. So this first question is under the personal category. And as we progress through the questions, we'll have some policy questions. And the remainder are policy questions. And at the very end, we'll have a couple of political questions if we get through all the questions, because we didn't want to have too few questions for you gentlemen tonight. Okay, so these are 3 short yes or no questions. So Mr. Dunklin, and you only need 30 seconds for these. Have you ever declared a bankruptcy?
I have not.
Are you current on all your taxes?
I am.
Is there any event in your life that would embarrass your parents, your spouse, your children, or your pastor if it appeared on a billboard? Because if the answer is yes, we're not asking you to disclose it tonight, but we will call you tomorrow to discuss it, because in Smith County, Texas, sometimes things end up on billboards.
I have been a teenager,
Okay.
but no, ma'am, not as an adult.
Okay. All right. Mr. Scott, same thing. Have you ever declared a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am.
Are you current on all your taxes?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any event that you don't want to be on a billboard in Smith County, Texas?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fabry.
Okay, we shift to policy questions, and you'll have 1 minute to answer this question. First question goes to Mr. Scott. Do you consider the JP to be a full-time position, yes or no? And there's a follow-up.
Yes, sir. It is a full-time position.
It's reported that some JPs are often not in the office on a regular basis to sign warrants, et cetera. How many hours a week do you plan on being in the office on average?
I am committed to being in the office 40 hours a week, and that is the operational hours of the office. It will be open 40 hours a week to the public.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin, same questions. Do you consider the JP to be a full-time position?
I do, sir.
It's reported that some JPs are often not in the office on a regular basis to sign warrants, et cetera. How many hours a week are you in the office currently on average?
Well, I can tell you, because I do that job, I plan to be there at 40 hours, but that's not always realistic. I do 200 deaths a year. The jail, that week of the jail, you're not in office very much. You're down at the jail. So realistically, you plan to be there 40 hours. You just can't.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Dunklin, I believe you go first on this question. The rotating on-call justice of the peace is responsible to arraign inmates, set bonds at the jail, as well as conducting inquest for decedents. If you are on call, do you still go into the office and hold court to serve the citizens that week, or do you stay at home during your on-call week?
Well, I don't stay at home. I mean, you are at the jail, and you do have the on-call, so you may get 4 or 5 deaths that day. You, for the most part, you can have some sporadic trials throughout the week, but you can't fill up a day, because you cannot guarantee you'll be there. And it's not doing our citizens a service if they have court scheduled and I'm not there because I'm out working. So realistically, you plan to be there, but you got to be careful about that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Scott, do you got the question? You need me to repeat it?
I believe I understand it. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm committed to being in the office 40 hours a week. I'm committed to being on call. I spent a career on call. I spent 30 years as a police officer. I'm used to being on call. I'll be in the office, accessible and available to the citizens of the precinct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Scott, next question. The JPs received a major pay increase this year, but there was no public discussion in court, just a footnote in the final budget presentation. What role did you play in this apparent backdoor agreement? Or if no role, what is your opinion on the apparent agreement that was worked out?
Well, I will publicly say this. I will never ask for a pay raise. I will always put the employees' needs before my own needs. Raises should be based on merit. Raises shouldn't be based on the fact that one elected official made more or makes more than another elected official. The process should always promote accountability and transparency, and it should go through the proper channels of Commissioner's Court standing before the Commissioner's Court and requesting that raise like every other director has to do.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin, same question.
I think the only elected officials that asked for a raise was the constables. That I know of. I didn't ask for any additional. I don't know if any other judges did.
Second half of the question was, if you did not, second half of the question was, if you did not play a role, what is your opinion on the apparent secret agreements that the budget office or judge participated in?
Well, I think it should have come out in court. It should have been discussed. I don't think there should be anything done behind the scenes. I mean, you're taking taxpayer money. You need to be accountable to that. You need to tell the people what you're planning on spending it on and letting the full court vote for it or against it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next few questions pertain to how you would administer the JP office. So we're going to start with Mr. Dunklin on question 5. JP offices are closed during lunch hours. Do you think this is an appropriate public service level for your office? What will you do to better accommodate the public, if anything? 1 minute.
Okay, I am closed at lunchtime. If somebody calls the office and says that the lunch hour is the only time that they can come in, we stay open. But I have had, since I've been elected, I've had 2 county judges, 4 commissioners, 3 constables, of which Mr. Scott was one of those. And I've ruled over 10,000 lawsuits in my court in the 8 years. I've had over 10,000 traffic cases. I've had hundreds of attorneys. I've never had one person, either those elected officials or anyone else, ever mention to me that they had a problem that I was closed at lunch. We think that it maximizes all that we do there. I would hate to know that being closed 1 hour overshadowed the other 8 hours and the tens of thousands of things that we have done in that office.
Mr. Scott?
Lunches should be staggered and rotated. That office needs to be open during lunch. Employees can be cross-trained. I would also like to point out the adjacent motor vehicle office that is right next door is open during lunch with less employees. My wife works 8 to 5, like many of you do out in the audience. She has 1 hour for lunch. She runs her errands on lunch hour, like many of you out there do. So we need that hour. That hour belongs to the taxpayer. That office is a full-time, taxpayer-funded office, and it needs to be available to the taxpayers full-time.
So next question is regarding working hours. Mr. Scott, Precinct 2's posted hours are Monday to Thursday, 8 to 5, and Friday, 8 to 1, for which computes out to 36 or 37 hours. As an officer of the court, how would you justify this apparent falsification of time records? Or what would you do to remedy this potential problem with record retention, record keeping?
It's a good question. I cannot justify it. That office needs to be open all day Fridays, like the adjacent motor vehicle tax office is open. People get paid on Fridays, and our courts need to be accessible so the constituents can take care of their obligations on Friday. Private industry, if private industry wants to close on Friday, that's absolutely fine. But this is a government office. This is not private industry. A full-time taxpayer-funded office should operate at the leisure of the taxpayer, not the elected official. We need to be open all day Fridays.
Mr. Dunklin, same question.
Yeah, Friday is a 5-day work week. I can't allow my employees to work more than 40 hours a week. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, those employees stay over until 6 and 7 o'clock. They can't earn comp time. The only way that I can relieve them not having, well, they can earn comp time. So the only thing that I can do to remain them legal is to have a 5-hour workday on Friday. I have to protect those employees, and I will not work an employee more than 40 hours a week. We could get into the staffing of why I'm understaffed, but we're building a courthouse, so.
Thank you.
Okay. So question number 7, and we'll start with you, Mr. Dunklin. Are you aware of the 287G task force provisions?
I am.
Okay. Routine traffic stops may result in a constable or a sheriff's deputy identifying an illegal. How would you handle these cases if they came before your court? 1 minute.
I'm sorry, on the traffic case that they initiated, it would be handled like any other traffic case.
Okay.
We'll have a prosecutor there. Prosecutor will present the evidence. I'll rule on it. I do follow the law. We have judges that refuse to follow some laws. If it's on the books, I'm going to follow it. I am not going to be curtailing what I will and will not enforce.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am. I'm absolutely going to follow the law. I'm going to follow the Texas statutes, the Constitution. It's going to be treated like every other case, fairly, and move through the court system.
Okay, thank you.
The JP courts are the legal system closest to the public, so the following relates to the administration of the JP court. Justices are required to impartially fulfill their duties and make unbiased judgments. How will you ensure objectivity in cases, particularly where there is one party is represented by legal counsel and the other is not? 1 minute, Mr. Scott.
That's a great question. So I would absolutely acknowledge that probably most of the litigants that would appear before that court are probably not represented by counsel. And I'm sure that those appearing before the court are probably nervous and need some direction. So my commitment to them would be I would provide clear procedures with plain language explanations according to the law. And my focus would always be fair, impartial application of the law.
Mr. Dunklin, same question.
As the judge in that court, I have to hear the evidence that both sides present. Those that are not represented by counsel, they may stumble through, but I have a good eye on what they're trying to tell me. I can listen whether they are an attorney or they're not. I've done it tens of thousands of times. What judges do struggle on is determining who's right and who's almost right. You'll notice that in most training, they'll tell a judge, have a scorecard up there on your bench, and you're trying to keep up with all of the evidence. But I listen to evidence. I don't listen to the attorneys, and I don't listen to either the inability or the incompetence of the party that's not represented. They're both equal, and they both get an equal shake with me.
Thank you. Now, question number 9. JP courts handle small claim lawsuits, evictions, traffic cases, and issue a number of different types of writs. Do you hold court weekly or on a regular schedule to clear out some of these large dockets? And how do you manage all those different types of responsibilities? 1 minute.
I can tell you today I did eviction court. We had small claims court after that, had debt claims after that. In my court, I have $500,000 worth of debt claim go through my court a month. And I know that is staggering just to think, but you have to keep up with all of it. And all of that comes through the court. I had a juvenile this afternoon. It just gets put on the docket. You just have to take care of it and just go through the cases one at a time, sometimes kind of catching your feet underneath you to be able to do that. But it is doable.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, to promote efficiency, we have to open the doors to the office. We have to open the doors during lunchtime. You free up an hour Monday through Thursday. That's 4 hours. You open all day Friday, that's another 4 hours. We got to start with opening the office. That's the first step of creating efficiencies. Once I'm in office, I'm going to take a look at the workflows, the patterns, the procedures we're following, and evaluate if what we're doing is working. And if something needs to be cut out, we're going to streamline those processes to make it better, to better serve the taxpayers.
Mr. Scott, 1 minute question. Some other county courts, justice courts, provide electronic filing to process documents and fees efficiently. Some Smith County JPs have resisted implementing electronic signatures, necessitating hand-carrying executed documents down to the district clerk. Would you lead an initiative to implement electronic filing across the county? Because all JPs would have to participate for this to work.
I would absolutely promote electronic filing because I believe that also enables efficiency, and I think that's a good idea for the taxpayers.
So you would lead an initiative amongst the 5 JPs?
If needed, yes, sir. I believe that promotes efficiency for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin.
Our office was the first justice court to enact the e-file. We find that it is streamlined so much of what we do. If you'll notice, Precinct 4 and Precinct 5 have less lawsuits in their court combined than I do. And combined, they have 10 employees to handle that process. I only have 4. It has streamlined everything we do. I am comparatively understaffed for what we do, but we have less staff doing it, but we chase every bit of technology that we can. And that technology keeps us flowing, even without the numbers. It's been said if you do 20% or more of a workload increase, you should ask for more employees. Now, I'm not saying I'll never ask for more employees, but I am doing more with less than any court in the county.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Dunklin, we'll start with you for question 11. Each precinct has its own courtroom. Do you believe that some or all of the courts can be held in a central facility to address the backlog that many of you testified that to us in our one-on-one interviews that you had a backlog? So do you believe that these should be held in a central facility to process the cases more efficiently and faster? Why or why not?
Well, as we talked about, we thought that if we had a central location down at Precinct 1, it would be easier for the prosecutor's office to come and do all those cases. We could have had 5 or 6 cases handled in a day, or trials, if you will. We are backlogged all the way back to COVID. COVID meant that a lot of people stay home, but a lot of people were out doing whatever. They were still incurring debt, so you have the lawsuits. People were still committing crimes, so you have the backlog on the criminal. And so we're trying to work through that, but the law says you can't do it. Now, that's what we were told by the county attorney. You must hold those in your precinct, and the district attorney's office says, well, that's a struggle for us. So we're trying to work with the district attorney's office to fit their schedule. No matter what we have to do, we want to work with them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Scott.
I certainly would be open to exploring the option if it is allowable and if it creates efficiency. But once again, I go back to the office hours. The first step of efficiency is opening the office when the office needs to be open. The office needs to be open at lunchtime, and the office needs to be open all day Friday.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott, justice courts have original jurisdiction on cases of forcible entry and detainer, evictions. How familiar are you with these laws, and how would you how would you continue to remain competent in this area of law? 1 minute.
Yes, sir. That's a great question. So I'm familiar with the eviction process, and also Senate Bill 38, which is tremendous for property owners. If you're not familiar with Senate Bill 38, it was effective January the 1st of 2026. And what that does essentially is it's known as the squatter's law, and it just provides law enforcement with teeth with regards to getting these squatters out of property owners' home in a more efficient method. Also, it enables faster timelines for eviction cases, moving the cases faster through the courts, generally 10 to 21 days.
Mr. Dunklin?
Well, you're not going to move it any faster than the law allows you, and we are moving at light speed, it seems like. Texas lags behind a lot of states in the requirements for how long it takes to get someone out. I'm all for property owners paying tenants. They deserve that. They have a right to that. So we move the cases through. I had cases this morning where defendants are saying, for whatever reason, they can't pay. I rule against them. But I determined that the property owner, they've got to have a lease. If they've got a lease-only violation, I make them prove it. Because putting somebody out on the street is tough enough. But what we're seeing more and more of the elderly being evicted out of retirement centers. And we've got to contact Adult Protective Services and Child Protective Services, and I'm the only judge in the county that requires that, because if the kids got to go to school, I want them to go to school. We can't be putting our elderly out on the street.
Okay. Thank you. Question 13, and we start with Mr. Dunklin. The Texas Property Code protects a tenant's right to remain in possession of the property pending an eviction trial. How do you process these types of cases within a reasonable time and without unnecessary delay? What methods do you implement to efficiently process eviction cases? In other words, walk us through the metrics that you use to make sure that you handle these cases properly.
Okay, somebody files that eviction, being the property owner, being the property management, whoever. Within 20 days, they're going to get a hearing. We get a petition and a citation issued to the constable. Constable goes out. They have timetables. Then the timetable is for the court when we can have those. We have them every Thursday morning. So the plaintiffs get to come in. They get to administer or to tell us what they're going to do, and I administer my judgment. The defendant has 5 days this is a process. They have 5 days, the defendant does for appeal. They've got to post money with the court. They can file an inability to pay with the court. If they do that, then we send it on up to the county court at law. County court at law makes sure that everything is in order. If it's not, we get it back and we start all over. But if the court is handling it correctly like we do, we don't get any back. Maybe others do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Mr. Scott, knowing the type of difficulties that can happen with an eviction trial, do you have any specific methods or ideas that you have that you would like to implement should the voters elect you?
Well, it sounds like if we have a backlog problem, then we need to increase the amount of time that we're holding court. And once again, I'm happy to go over that eviction timeline. It's 3 days from notice to vacate to filing of the suit, and it's 10 to 21 days from the filing of the suit to the trial date, 5 days to the appeal to the suit following the hearing required by law, and 2 days during which the constable is required by law to post a 24-hour vacate notice on the writ of possession. Quite simply, if we have this serious backlog, we need to be holding court more.
Okay.
Mr. Scott, following along that chain, when a written lease between a landlord and a tenant provides for the landlord's recovery of unpaid rent and potentially other sums, how will you ensure that the prevailing party is awarded the full amount of damages the party is legally entitled to?
I certainly understand that sometimes payments can create hardships. I am certainly willing to work with our community and work with those that come before the court to help them cover those financial obligations.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin.
If the landlord tells us that there is so much rent behind by the tenant, that's what they get. I can't be working with people because I've got to stay neutral. The court is in the middle. I can't be helping the plaintiff. I can't be helping the defendant. Now, back in COVID, there were some agencies within the government that helped people. PATH was helping people. We didn't offer that to them. PATH came to the court. So there is a lot of avenues by which people can do, but I can't be seen helping one without helping the other. The court, remember, must be in the middle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question 15, and Mr. Dunklin starts. One of the most important duties for a justice of the peace is setting bonds, magistrating. What criteria do you use in determining an appropriate bond?
I look at the current case in which they're arrested on. I look at their criminal history. I look at where they live. If somebody is arrested for driving while intoxicated and they live in Tyler, or if they live in Atlanta, Georgia, well, they're not going to get the same bond. I have to set the bond in order to get them back to court. I also look at the safety of the community. What is the appropriate bond for the safety of the community? And most of all, I look and see if they're already out on bond. Because this bond's not going to be the same. I'm going to increase that bond dramatically. And then I look at the victims. I need to see if releasing this person with a lower bond is actually going to cause them to turn around and be a victim. So I look at that. For a lot of our violent crime people, the best place for them to be is in jail.
Okay, Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am. So my decisions would be guided by the Constitution and, of course, the established legal standard. You know, when issuing warrants, I understand that standard is probable cause. I understand probable cause very well. When setting bail, I would consider public safety, I would consider flight risk, and I would evaluate individual circumstances. As I mentioned earlier, I made a career out of investigating violent crime, and violent crime victims will always hold a special place in my heart.
Okay, Mr. Scott, staying with you for a second. The courts set fees for, the state sets some fees and the court sets the remaining fees. Do you know when the last time fee structure for the JP courts was updated, and should that be standardized across all 5 courts?
I believe it was updated by the county, by the commissioner's court. It was reviewed anyway. I'm not sure if there were changes made, but I know that's conducted by the commissioner's court.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin?
It is every year. I think it's in September that the court must set those fees and those fines. But I mean, as a judge, we just get what they give us. They should be reviewed every year. They do. If they don't, if they just go and adopt what was previous year, we just have to go with that. We don't have any input. We're never asked what should be the appropriate fine.
So a quick follow-up, first to Mr. Scott. What role should the district JPs have in recommending, based on your experience in the court, to the fee structure?
I believe they should be involved in that process, actively involved in that process, making recommendations with regard to that.
Mr. Dunklin.
And we don't get that opportunity. And we've discussed that, we've talked about that, and we're told by the Commissioner's Court, this is what you're going to look at for this next year, for that. I can't force them to change, so we just have to go with it.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dunklin, describe your worldview, the values and principles that guide your decision-making in serving the people of Smith County. 1 minute.
I have no control over who comes in my court, whether they be Christian, whether they be Muslim, whether they be Antichrist or whatever. What I can tell people is I can't always treat you the same because there's just so many factors involved in every case, even though you think it's the same. But I do treat people fairly. When they leave, they know that they are left with some bit of their dignity left if they lost their case, but I treat them with the same that I would any Christian. I treat everybody fairly, and when they leave, they can say they got a fair shake in my court.
Okay, Thank you. Mr. Scott?
At the core of my worldview comes from my faith, my personal relationship with Jesus Christ. This foundation shapes how I see truth, responsibility, and freedom. I believe strong families, personal accountability, and respect for life and hard work really matter. I don't think that government has all the answers. In fact, I believe people, communities, and churches are often better equipped to take care of one another better than the government can. I try to approach life with humility and grace, but also with conviction, valuing tradition, limited government, and the freedom to live out faith openly while treating others with dignity and respect.
Thank you.
A number of questions have addressed this, but I would like you to expand on the concept of Smith County JP offices being citizen first. And what can you do to, besides ours, what can you do to live up to that commitment, citizen first?
Well, currently, I don't believe the Precinct 2 JP office is operating in a manner that is citizen first. I believe we should be open for lunches. I believe that we should be open Friday afternoons. I don't agree with closing arbitrarily the office. The office was closed the week of Christmas. We need to abide by the designated Smith County holidays. A justice of the peace does not have the authority to arbitrarily close their office for an extended week or extended days during that week. We need to be available, and we need to operate at the convenience of the taxpayer, and I just don't see that happening.
Mr. Dunklin.
Well, Mr. Scott is mistaken. The justice court judge or any elected official that operates an office has the utmost right to determine the hours. I cannot work my employees more than 40 hours a week. I've explained that. I'm honored to be the judge there, but just let me say that my opponent has made this his number one topic. We are, and I've heard him. So for the month of February, we're doing a pilot program. We're going to be open for lunch just to see if we're missing any citizens, we're missing any customers, and we're going to report that in March. We're going to do a press release on that and just see if we're missing. My staff tells me we're not missing anybody. People call or they come up and they knock on the door. We open the door. But it's just that little bit of time that the clerks get to go to the bathroom, they can get their lunch, they go back and sit down. So we're not missing anybody. I mean, the other 8 hours of that day that we are operating, we're doing the work that the people hired us to do.
Thank you. Mr. Dunklin, this is question 19. What other, and I want you to be very specific, so just search your expertise and tell us, what other specific steps would you take if the voters send you back to this job? What specific steps would you take to improve the justice court, or do you believe that you're already perfect?
Oh, we're not perfect. We're a long way from being perfect. I can tell you the things that we're working on is video magistration down at the jail. Judge Wolf, as you'll hear from him in a little while, Judge Wolf and I believe that if we have video magistration, we can drastically affect the prisoner count that they have on a daily basis. And video magistration will allow us to do that twice a day. Our office is constantly educating our customers to file with the e-file system when they do lawsuits and when they do evictions. Currently, if somebody gets a traffic ticket, we have to wait a week or more before we can take fine money from somebody because the trooper has to send a document to our court. I am working with a highway patrol. I'm the only judge in the county that's been a highway patrolman. I know their procedures, and we're working on getting that to when the ticket is written, it's immediately uploaded, and somebody can come in and pay that ticket. Because what we're getting now, customers are, well, they're coming in to pay, and they can't pay. So I'm working on that.
Okay. Mr. Scott.
I would go back to what I had mentioned earlier with regards to the extended closing of the office. I believe that even if you were to make the argument that you have the authority to close the office, I think one might ask, is that actually in the best interest of the taxpayer? to close that office outside of the designated Smith County holiday days. Now, I would purport that it's not fair to the 900 other Smith County employees who actually abide by that holiday schedule. I think it creates accountability and transparency issues regarding how employees are compensated during the office's closure. Is it administrative time? Is it vacation time? How are we paying them?
Timekeeper? We're at 7:16. Okay, move to rebuttals.
Okay, all right. So we need to cease the questions and move to the rebuttal period. So that is your opportunity to bring up another topic. If there's a topic that we didn't ask you about that you really want the people to know about, you can use your time for that. Or you can, if your opponent said something that you don't agree with, you can rebut that, and you have 1 minute. And you start, and Mr. Scott starts.
Thank you very much. We need to do a better job of communicating with the public in this office. Can you imagine how upset you may have been if you had driven 2 hours to take care of a ticket in that court on the Monday before Christmas and saw a sign on the door that said the court was closed, contrary to the hours listed on the county website? We can do better than that. The citizens of Smith County deserve better than that. I'm going to work well with all of the law enforcement agencies represented in this county, as well as the other elected officials. Without naming any agencies, we have several agencies in this county with a very poor relationship with the Precinct 2 Justice of the Peace Office. The dismissal of probable cause affidavits during magistration process appears to be a consistent problem. I believe my strong record of collaboration and executive leadership is why I'm endorsed by the District Attorney, Jacob Putman, the Tyler Patrolmen's Association, and the East Texas Fraternal Order of Police.
Mr. Duncliffe.
It is the responsibility of the magistrate judge down at the jail to read that document. Nothing else can be added to that. I have written those I've written them longer than my opponent. And I can tell you those have to be exact. There are things that are supposed to be in there, and if they're not, you return it back to the law enforcement agency and they correct it. But I'll tell you, the commissioner's court is not open till 5 o'clock every day. They post hours that is less than 5 o'clock, but you don't hear my opponent saying one thing about that. He is so concerned about the court in which I operate. I'll tell you again, I can't work employees more than 40 hours a week. If he thinks that he has researched that, even when he was a constable, he never came over to my office and said, "Why are you closed?" Never, not once was he concerned about that. Hundreds of attorneys have worked through our court. Thousands of litigants have come through there. Not one person has ever said anything to me about that until this.
Okay, it's time for final comments, closing statements. So based on the draw, Mr. Scott, you were first.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. At the end of the day, this is about convenience, operating an office at the convenience of the taxpayer. This race isn't about politics. It's about trust, service, and accountability. The Justice of the Peace is not a ceremonial role. It's a working office that serves real people with real problems. The office needs to be operated at the convenience of the taxpayers. The citizens of Precinct 2 deserve a Justice of the Peace who treats this position as a duty. My entire career has built on showing up, doing the work, and putting people first. I believe in limited government, personal responsibility, accountability, and service rooted in faith and family. These values won't change when the election is over. I'll bring discipline, transparency, consistent leadership to this office, and I'll be accessible and accountable and work every day to earn your trust, not just your vote. I humbly ask for your vote for Justice of the Peace, Smith County Precinct 2.
My thanks again to the grassroots and to tonight's audience. We know that the strength of any republic only exists when good people like you get involved in forums like this to choose the best qualified candidates and It's a government by the people and for the people. I'm honored the citizens of Precinct 2 have repeatedly elected me to this job. They believe I make good decisions. I'm a fair judge. I am a problem solver. I consistently apply the law to my judgments, and I'm a good listener. And that is the greatest quality any judge could have. I have the #1 position on the March ballot in Precinct 2 for Justice of the Peace. I have the name that citizens of Precinct 2 have known for over 30 years. I am the judge they know to be competent and impartial, and I thank you for your consideration in keeping me the judge of Precinct 2.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for your participation. Thank you.